Your permit is the Constitution. It's 200 years old. That's your permit to protest, is the Constitution.
My job as police chief in the city is to make that final decision of what I think we can or cannot tolerate.
As a matter of fact, one of the things Chief Tidmore said on that first day was that I, as dressed as I am right now, walking down the street in Crawford could be considered a demonstration.
We went to Crawford on May 3rd to protest and to let President Bush know that we objected to the action in Iraq, we objected to what we saw as lies to the American public, and that there was another possibility.
A reporter came up to me, and when she started asking me questions, I got between two cars and started answering her questions. And as I answered her questions, I saw 5 police officers coming toward me.
That's when Amara approached the officers asking why they were arresting her, because at the same time her 14-year-old daughter was saying, "Mom, how am I going to get back to Dallas? What am I going to do? How do I get there?" And the police officers strapping her, getting her strapped up. And there was no concern over the daughter from the police officers. There was no concern whatsoever.
I all of a sudden ran into an officer who was going like this and sort of stopped me with his hands, and I was like, "Oh!" And he had plain clothes on, and I was like, "Excuse me," and he was like, "Arrest her," and turned me around.
And at 11, we were taken out of those detention cells, and that's when they had decided to charge us with the protesting without a permit charge. Until 11 o'clock, we hadn't been charged with any crime. We were being detained.
And we were kept overnight and released the next morning, maybe about 8 or 9 o'clock. We were so lucky to have Jim Harrington and the Texas Civil Rights Project take on our trial for us. So we were really just blessed, and that's one thing that this trial has made me realize is how lucky we were to have a community that would support us.
We had about 50 people that were called in to be on the jury, all residents of Crawford, of course. And I think the most telling event that happened is that in the selection of the jury, my first question was, anybody have anything against any of these 5 folks who came to protest such that you couldn't be fair and impartial? 1/3 of those people raised their hands. But at least they were the honest ones, right? At least they were the honest ones. And then you could hear all of the comments about, well, you're trying to trick us. This is going to cost us too much money. How much fine can we give them? Is that all we can give them for punishment? All of these questions, they didn't hide any prejudices that they had. It was the most incredible outspilling of vitriol I've ever seen as a lawyer. I think with the current Bush administration, it's even more sinister. And I really think it is to undermine opposition. And it's sort of similar in a sense to go back to Nixon. Did exactly the same thing. Very, very underhanded, manipulating all the federal agencies. Dirty tricks all over the place. And that's what I see going on with this current Bush administration, is that it really is an effort to squelch opposing views. And it's about power. It's all about power. And lets the local cops bear the brunt of everything. Very clever. It's very clever. And it's as I think about it, probably the first time you've ever seen this sort of manipulation by the Secret Service of free speech rights around the country, like we've been seeing.